Welcome to this explainer. I want you to picture stepping into a dimly lit, vintage study. You know the vibe, right? Dark leather chairs, warm amber lighting, maybe a little subtle smoke in the air. Sitting across from you isn't some cartoon monster, but an elite, incredibly articulate psychological strategist. Today we're unpacking C.S. Lewis's classic, The Screwtape Letters. But we are not treating this like a spooky horror story. No, we're looking at it as a clinical, highly sophisticated strategy manual for manipulating human focus. We're going to explore exactly how modern people lose their clarity. And I've got to tell you, the tactics laid out in this text are almost terrifyingly relevant to our hyper-connected digital age.
So the core paradox of this entire demonic playbook is actually shockingly mundane. You have Screwtape, the senior tempter, advising his young apprentice, and his instruction reveals a completely brilliant psychological insight. He says your business is to fix his attention on the stream of immediate sense experiences. You see, spiritual grounding and intellectual clarity, they aren't lost to dramatic cinematic evils. They're lost to endless trivial distractions. The whole goal is just to keep us absolutely glued to the chaotic stream of whatever's right in front of our faces, so we literally never look up and never look beyond.
Which brings us to a quiet but really unsettling question. Are we thinking or are we just reacting? I mean, when you consider our modern landscape for a second, the fast-moving social media feeds flashing across our screens, the doom scrolling, the endless pings and notifications, it really makes you wonder if our daily habits leave any actual room for reflection. Are we actively cultivating our minds, or have we just completely surrendered to a state of constant reflexive stimulation?
Let's break this down. Phase 1, the strategy of distraction, or what I'd call the war on reason.
The playbook here is actually genius. The crucial point is that jargon and noise are way more effective at keeping people away from the truth than actual, logical arguments. Screwtape explicitly warns his apprentice against arguing because, well, arguing wakes up the human reason. Instead, the strategy is to just fill our heads with a dozen incompatible philosophies at once. Make it confusing. Train humans to stop asking if an idea is actually true or false. Instead, get them to ask, is this contemporary or is this practical? It's all about creating this thick haze of sophisticated-sounding buzzwords where deep, critical thought just simply cannot survive. And Lewis brilliantly illustrates this with a real tactic from the text. Screwtape recounts this fascinating case study of a patient reading in the British Museum. The guy is reading, and he suddenly starts having a genuinely profound, deep thought. So, does the demon attack him with a brilliant counterargument? No way. He simply suggests it's probably time for lunch. Once they get outside, the demon exposes him to a shouting newsboy, points out the number 73 bus driving by, and boom, the atheist is saved from deep thought. Not by logic, but by the sheer overwhelming distraction of a sandwich and a passing bus.
The whole strategy relies entirely on making humans believe that the ordinariness of daily life, the bus, the newsboy, the inbox, the traffic, is the only real life that matters. By pressing home the sheer, heavy ordinariness of things, the human mind gets fuddled. It becomes practically impossible for us to believe in the unfamiliar, or the eternal, or the profound, when the deeply familiar and mundane is constantly flashing right before our eyes.
Moving right along to Phase 2, the kingdom of noise, silencing the soul.
This is where it gets really fascinating. Here we have two vastly different designs for the human soul. On one side, we have what Screwtape refers to as the enemy's design, meaning the divine ideal, which is deeply rooted in music and silence. But on the other side, the infernal obsession is noise, total, unbroken, chaotic, relentless noise.
Just listen to this chilling line from the text. We will make the whole universe a noise in the end. That gives you goosebumps, doesn't it? It reveals the true ultimate goal. Noise isn't just an annoyance. It is a grand dynamism. It's a deliberate, aggressive force used to completely block out any profound thought, any sudden moment of realization, and frankly, any chance of self-examination.
Think about how this works today. With chaotic rapidity, our endless stream of digital stimulation functions exactly like the demon's noise. Think about it. The endless notifications, auto-playing videos, layered podcasts playing at 2x speed, the constant online debates. They act as a defensive shield. They literally shout down our inner qualms, they silence our deepest scruples, and most importantly, they prevent the one single thing that leads to clarity, quiet self-examination. We are basically drowning ourselves in media just so we don't ever have to sit and listen to our own minds.
Let's shift gears to Phase 3, Hijacking the Future, the Anatomy of Anxiety. Think about how we actually experience time. The past is frozen, right? It no longer flows.
The present is the current moment, which is the absolute only place where reality is actually happening. And the future? The future is completely unknown and entirely unreal. So the demonic goal is brilliantly simple. Yank human attention entirely out of the present and just push it constantly, relentlessly into the unknown future.
Notice how human virtues and vices are distributed across time. In the present, we find duty, grace, and eternity. But the future? The future is the ultimate breeding ground for fear, avarice, lust, and ambition. The psychological strategy is to keep humans as far away from the present as possible, because the present is where they can actually take action. Instead, just keep them utterly obsessed with a future they cannot possibly control.
Lewis writes, "The future is, of all things, the thing least like eternity." By keeping us hag-ridden by visions of an imminent heaven or hell on earth, whether that's political anxiety, economic dread, or just our own personal ambition, we become spiritually and emotionally numb. We become completely blind to the people and the duties and the beauty that are right in front of us, right now.
And the psychological trap is totally complete when humans reach this tragic state. We become a whole race perpetually in pursuit of the rainbow's end. We are never honest, nor kind, nor happy right now. Instead, we take every real gift, every tiny moment of peace offered in the present, and we just use it as fuel to throw on the altar of a future that hasn't even arrived yet.
So, how do we fix this? Let's look at the resolution, returning to the present, the antidote to muddled thinking.
The crucial takeaway here is this specific definition. The present is the exact point at which time touches eternity. It is the absolute, literal, only place where freedom and actuality are offered to us. Reclaiming our clarity, getting our minds back, requires us to stop living in the endless anxieties of tomorrow and to boldly exist exactly where we are right in this very second.
Practically speaking, this means taking highly specific, grounded actions. It means obeying the present voice of conscience, bearing the present burden, giving thanks for the present pleasure, and, perhaps the most defiant act of all in our modern world, intentionally embracing moments of pure, unadulterated silence. By doing this, we systematically dismantle the overwhelming noise, the jargon, and the endless distraction of modern life.
Because we have to remember this incredibly haunting insight from the book, "The safest road to hell is the gradual one." It's the gentle slope. We don't lose ourselves in some sudden, dramatic, cinematic crash. We lose ourselves in a dreary, endless flickering of the mind over screens, notifications, and trivialities that we don't even truly like. We are simply edged out into the nothingness, just by failing to pay attention.
I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought from our explainer today. Are you avoiding silence because of what you might finally hear? Next time you find yourself instinctively reaching for a screen just to fill a quiet room, pause and consider what you're actually trying to drown out. Perhaps it's time to put down the devices, turn off the noise, and boldly embrace a moment of absolute silence.